kick and bass levels that work when you play live. That is today's video. Let's go do it right now. Go and check it out. The Analog Kitchen channel now has memberships. You can not only subscribe and share and like most of you have been doing, you can now also become a member. Hey, welcome. So nice of you to join me. My name is Analog Kitchen and thank you for checking out yet another video. Now, if this is your first time here, do not hesitate to click subscribe. You'll be notified whenever I upload a new video, but that is if you click that bell icon as well. You'll be kept in the loop and you will not miss out on anything. Now, before I start, I need to tell you that my new effects and drones pack is finished. I finalized it and you can find it hitting the link that I'm going to put up on screen. And be sure to hang around to the end of this video. I will divulge who are the new patrons on patreon.com/Analog Kitchen. Links to the equipment noted in the fold below. So if you see something that you like, if you see something that I am using, if you got questions about it, you can find affiliate links down on the page where it says show more. Don't be a stranger, get in touch, leave a comment. You know what I mean? It's all about getting in touch. Now, one of the things that I do when I work regularly away from my DAWLESS rig is mixing and mastering for other people. And that is really cool, but the problem that most folks come to me with is how do I get my kick and my bass to work together without them eating away at each other and it's just a hodgepodge of mud, I can't get it to sit right. Well, 9 out of 10 times I tell people, you know what, it is to do with you not turning on your volume a little bit too loud when you're trying to sort it out. Okay, but the thing on a DAW is you get to set your levels. You look at a VU meter, you look at how the levels are, and that's something that you can do time and time again. So even if you have a very, very big weekend or a big party the day before and your ears are not really trustworthy at that point, it'll still be easy to pinpoint where the kick sits and where the bass sits. You just look at it, you just set it, and that will be that. Different becomes the situation when you work away from the DAW, when you're working in a DAWless setup. If you have to trust your ears more than your eyes. Funny, those pesky things. Who would have thought? Making music with your ears. If you have to rely on where the sound goes, that varies. It varies from room to room when you perform live. It does vary whether you're in a different sort of state of mind as well. Now, are there things to listen for? I think so. And the thing is to go a little bit deeper into what it actually is that you are listening to. Now, that's easier said than done. A lot of people just take a lot of stuff for granted. Yeah, I'm hearing it. But are you listening? You need to be listening for specific things. Now, I will get into my live set and show you how I determine how I would set my bass or bass frequency content, because I've got multiple bass synthesizers. If you follow this channel. If not, click subscribe. Do it now. It would mean that there's a few things that will work every time. And, well, I will take you into my process. Don't be a stranger, let me know what your process is. Okay, I'm taking you to my live set and I will show you how I set up kick and bass. And maybe put a little bit more frequency content on top of it, maybe in the terms of other synthesizers. You ready? Let's go do it. Alright people, okay, now listen, when looking at a DAW, it's a completely different situation, because you know that when you work with a DAW, pretty much if you set the kick drum at, if you're looking at a VU meter, if you set it around, say, maybe 3 decibels, if the scale goes up to 0, and you set the kick drum on 3, the kick drum on 3, yeah, so the needle just goes up to 3. You know that if you just add the bass line and the whole VU meter just hits 0, then you know that your kick to bass ratio is cool. Now, in this way, this is a different situation. Now, let's look at how we do this in a DAWless realm, because now you have to trust your ears more than you have to trust your vision. Now, what I do is when I play this kind of stuff is the kick that I have needs to contain a certain amount of thickness. Now the kick that I have, I've got it sitting here. I will go to the first of the track. The first of the tracks, I've got different tracks here, so it pretty much works pretty much like how you would do it in a computer. Track 1 is my kick drum, and then on top here I've got my pages, and those pages select where I am in terms of the scale when I'm in performance mode, when I use this as a keyboard. But when I'm just in this mode, it basically means that it's got different banks of different sets of where I can stick my samples. Now let's focus on this kick. I don't have a scope, so and the reason for that is because I want you to really listen to what it is that you are hearing. This. Now, there's a few things that I have added or I've selected within this kick deliberately. For one, you will hear an attack, which is the letter D. You'll hear a little bit like what I call a tummy of the kick, which is like the release or the sustained sound. And there's a bit of a hiss, a sort of like on top of this kick. The reason for this is that it gives more transients within the grand scheme of things. So if this sound would be very round throughout its frequency, within the frequency range where it is, where it sits in a spectrum, and the bass line would have this similar frequency, it basically means that those frequencies are starting to cancel each other out, so they're in the way. Picture a video on TV. If you are looking at a white plane and cowboys and Indians are fighting together, but as one person standing with a big head in front of the camera, you will not see what's happening behind. It's canceling out the overview of what it is that you're actually watching, in this case listening. So this kick needs to be spaced away from where the bass line is going to be. The bass line that I have is going to come from the Mini Tower. Now if you know the Moog Mini Tower, it is a thick bass heavy synthesizer, so most of the time when I'm using fat techno tracks, I will go for a bigger kick. But in this sense, because I'm using and the Model D and I'm using the Mini Tower, and I've got the Mini Log XD as well, but I'm not using it for bass today, and the TB03, so it would mean that if I got a kick that is too big, it will just eat away from the sound. Now let's see what we have. I'll play it from the multi-clock right here. So that's the beats that we're going to be working with. There's more drums that are coming from the octa track, but for this example, let's just keep it here. So let's focus on that kick for a second. That's a little bit of ear candy that's playing. Okay. Now when I'm focusing on this, when I'm entering a club, this kick now that sounds like pretty sweet and all contained and everything is pretty much spaced together, it's very easy to hear that if you focus on the kick, that what you are hearing is that the letter D, the attack, a little bit of the do, a little bit more of the thickness of the kick, and then a little bit of white noise that's stuck on top of it. I just sampled a kick off a record that obviously has a little bit of dirt. Thanks for the dirt, because that's what we want. Now, that would mean that if I was to add my bass line, which is playing, hearing it, it helps if you turn it on. Say filters down, and we play this. And the funny part is, the low-end content is actually coming from the Mini Towers, not so much coming from the kick, but because the kick is in a repetitive sort of fashion, it tells your brain like bam, 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 that's where I am. And you need the club or the club sound system to help you out a little bit, because you need that kick to be a little bit longer, a little bit thicker, but the club sound system and the reverberation in the room will probably help you out in that sense. So I opted to go with longer notes now on the Mini Tower, but listen to what the content of that bass line is. Now the reason for the white noise sitting on top of the kick is because if I open up the filter right here, this mini tower, if I'm opening it up, the resonance is also going to like join itself together with the white noise that's sitting over on this side. Of course, this is a very round sound, but there is noise on top of it, as you can hear. Or at least a little bit of grit. And that grit is something that you want to gel together with the kick. Because where you would normally sidechain it, that's how you just do it. You just stick a sidechain, the kick will just trigger a hole that goes inside of that mini tower sound, especially if you got longer sounds where they clash together, because everywhere where the bass line is, a kick is playing, so it's hitting each other, it's hitting the bass line. But in this sense, you can hear that, yeah, this sound works, because no matter which frequency I choose with the filter, you can always hear every attack, each attack of the kick is very clearly audible. So that means that within the frequency window, which is, yeah, if you're looking at my record cupboard over there, that's like the frequency window where every different piece of sound is sitting within its own range. It means that within that range, you're trying to just like focus on, can I get things to sit next to each other but not in the way of each other, in that stupid example that I just gave you about the TV. Now, why is it so important to think about it this way when you work in a DAWLESS sense? It helps because you don't really get to envision where sound is. You need to visualize it, and that's why I'm giving you these examples, because this is very important if I'm going to add more sounds to it, because the frequency of the kick drum would lean a little bit into the frequency of the mini tower, but not in a way that it's starting to eat away from the sounds, because if those frequencies are starting to gel together, you will hear that different attacks on the kick will not be very clearly audible, obviously. So let's turn this off and let's see if we can try a TB03. Turn it up. See if I can stick it in the neighborhood of where the kick is. You get where? 2, 3. Here, 2, 3. You see that now they're actually like, they're clashing together a little bit. I mean, it's still workable because there's enough high-end frequency on the kick to just stand out. But if there's more tracks playing, if you start to gel more things together, now it starts to become a hodgepodge of just mud, and mud is not what you want. Mud is not what you need in a club. So what I tend to do is I make that frequency window so that, okay, this is the kick drum. That's the most important thing in order for you to dance to it, yeah? So then I will add, let's turn off the TB03. Then I will turn on the Moog and I'll just play around with. Now leveling and the filter is very important. I don't really go in and equalize stuff on the mixer, but yeah, obviously you can debate that the cutoff frequency filter and the resonance are a kind of EQ when you shape your sound and shape your sound on the fly. What I do like, it is Analog Kitchen foolproof, so I don't have 15 knobs to just like work with, because I will just get lost. So what I need of this sound, if I turn my kick down, is this. So the envelope generation amount, I will go in and create a little bit of a girth on the sound. So this is like cool low-end stuff. Obviously there's an LFO that's playing, so you hear that the sound is going, it's almost pulsating, it's alive. I can turn it off, and then it's a bit sparse. Also, that's also helping that if you have clashing frequencies or you've got multiple synthesizers that are playing around on the same frequency, then it might be cool to just also have a little bit of LFO on your bass sound so that it lives, so that frequency that it is like shifting in between is not constantly on the same thing. and that helps to give your DAWLESS sound also a little bit of liveliness, which is something that I use. Well, and luckily for me, the mini guitar's got like those cool features that it does that, you know. So this is a little bit too much. As you can hear, LFO. But let's exaggerate a little bit. I'll slow the LFO, so the LFO rate goes slowly. You can hear that it's like constantly eating and biting and eating and biting. So this is alive. This is cool. Which means I don't have to stand here like Poindexter constantly like wielding the filter knob. As you can see, I've done it too often, so it's already broken. So cool that the LFO does that for me. Now, so that's one less thing to worry about. So my low-end content now does something on its own. Now I can focus on, can I stick another bass sound in there? Because obviously I do think that this is going to be a little bit too sparse. And I'll get to the audio thing is micro-modulated because I've got chords coming from that synthesizer as well, which are absolutely cool. But in order for those to work, I need my bass lines to be a little bit more thick in the bottom end. So let's go back to that Roland TB03 bass line here. And it's also how you introduce sounds. This is also a very, very strong point. I mean, if I was to throw this in your face from the get-go when the track starts like this, you say like, I don't know what's going on. But when you're building the track and when you're just growing the tension as you are doing, because you're turning stuff on, you're turning stuff off, you can see there's a lot of stuff that's already off, that's not playing. I mean, this is a completely different tune altogether. Now I'm thinking, oh wait, yeah, nice, I'm liking that. Can I stick something else to there? Do it. Hi-hats going from track 4 on my octo track, which is like taking care of top loops and ear candy and stuff. Mostly stuff that you can find on the samples that I'm making. Hey, and by the way, my new sample pack effects and drones is online, so go check that out. Just a shameless plug there. But that means that those samples are coming from the octo track. So this thing is mainly there for adding groove. This is the foundation. This is already grooving, I think. It's just doing what it's doing. Nice. I'm just sticking it there because I need it to be a catalyst, a drive within that kick drum. So that frequency, tick, 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 and this frequency, if you stick them away from each other in terms of where the frequency lies, so this has got a little bit more bottom end, but it's sticking within the same region, and this goes on top of it, and that's moving. Now those two, they will meet each other somewhere randomly when the LFO crosses the frequency of the TB03. And now I can focus on different things. And because this is all low-end content and I've introduced it in a way, you can now easily pinpoint, hey, that's the mini guitar, hey, that's TB03. Sometimes it doesn't really work out that way. It depends on how your track is going, how the crowd is responding to it, whether you're going to introduce certain elements. That's the thing that happens when you're live. But for sake of this tutorial, I would like to tell you, okay, this is how I space stuff out. So in my mind as well, it's, okay, I've got my kick drum, that's my foundation. Then I've got my bass line, which is my melodic bass line. This is what's making the melody for the track. I'm going to build my melodies on top of this mini guitar bass line. If I need to go like it's 4 in the morning and everybody's already staring at the wall, seeing all kinds of different stuff, then probably it's going to be more like this. Keep it a little bit more on the ground, just driving like that. You know what I mean? Just bam, bam, bam. But from the minute you think like, hey man, it's cool, I need a little bit more energy, a little bit more vibe, that's why I introduce the mini guitar. And the sounds, as you can hear, are sitting where they're sitting. I'm not even using an open hi-hat as of yet, because as you can hear, this shaker head, it's not the highest, it's not like completely razor blades in your eye. That's not what you need, but I want something to be, yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm liking this. Flowing, you know, you're just riding the wave of the groove that you're doing. And just keep in mind, you are the record, you know? It's not like you're playing records, you are the record. So that advantage, you need to just utilize that to the fullest. So now, if I'm going to introduce that mini guitar again, I can just open it up. But I opt to go like filter down and I slowly follow what's happening. See if you can pinpoint all the sounds. Here we go. think that the TBO3 is eating away at my kick a little bit, so before I will introduce this, I need to solve that problem, because if I'm going to start playing around with this and that's already tampering with the kick, that's not ideal at all. So I will open up the cutoff frequency a little bit. But a byproduct of it is that it gets louder. So I'll go to the mixer, turn it down a little bit. What I can do is also down the decay a little bit. And the thing is that you're building a jigsaw puzzle, so whatever you add to it makes for something that is going to be hidden behind it. So you need to just like space out, like, what do I want to hear? Do I want to hear the boop, 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 or do I want to hear the boop, 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 boop? Now all of a sudden you hear that, hey, there's the move. See? So these things are just standing in front of the camera, as if you will. So the resonance knob now becomes a very, very strong weapon. So before I will enter this synthesizer, believe me, now it's all on a moderate sound system. I hope that you're listening to this on decent speakers, by the way. But from the minute you're standing in front of a club, or you're standing in front of a club, hopefully you're in the club, but when you're performing on a sound system is what I went to say, then all of a sudden these little values become very, very powerful. So check out that resonance knob here. This now becomes the shift within the frequency range where I can hear the mini-tower. Now if I open up the mini-tower more, that's when I'm going to lower the TBO3, because remember, I told you it's a catalyst. It's not, hey, I've got a TBO3, everybody needs to know it, the whole world needs to know that I've got a TBO3. There's a time and place for everything. There's a little bit of ear candy going on with a little bit of a side stick with reverb. You know, that stuff is just there to just not bore you to death when the sequence is running, because I'm constantly on that same sequence. I'm not building a track here, I'm building ingredients, and I'm trying to tell you where does this whole frequencies range lies, how to approach it. Now, it already starts to become a little bit girthy. I think I'm losing low-end content here, so the mini-tower needs to go back a little bit. What do we have here? What do you think is Micro Monster? And now you see how it starts to make sense that that TBO3 is constantly, because this is very sparse. Everything I add within the track is something that has a percussive nature, apart from the mini-tower, of course. That's just laying the foundation. Nice one. How do you think is Micro Monster? I really love this synthesizer, I can tell you now. Took a while though. Nice. Let's not turn it up too loud, because alright, this is not an analog synth, so the sound is a little bit more predictable than all those other synths that I have. I tend to feel so that within what it is that I want from a synthesizer is, like I told you with this LFO over here, a little bit liveliness, Model D as well. It's something that can do something different, you know what I mean? Now let's go over to the filter and turn it down. Nice. So I'm trying to build tension. This whole thing that I'm talking to you about low-end frequency content, how to utilize it, has to do with tension, has to do with the listener, your end user, the people on the dance floor, or people that are actually listening to whenever you're performing. They're reading your book, and you're introducing all the characters one by one in a way that you think, okay, how is it logical that what it is that I'm hearing, that it makes sense that I'm hearing it? That's the thing. Now I've got the Mini-Log XD sitting here. Smooth. So the more sounds you introduce, the more you're climbing up that ladder. So we've now established that we've got the lowest culprit in the room, which is the mini tower. Sitting over there. Then the kick drum is there. Then another low contender is the TB03. You don't need any other loops, you don't need any other stuff. So I combine two things together. And I do think that that's a very strong weapon as well. You instead of using a lot of breakbeats or a top loop like we used to use back in the days, we sampled all those rare grooves off of old school soul and funk records and stuck them on our records, which was really cool. I mean, if you're talking about like the Amen breakbeat or Lynn Collins, those were really cool grooves that they still work. But when you get to a more sort of like atmospheric, maybe melodic techno kind of flavor, what you would want is your sounds to do the driving for you as well. And in my sense, in my case, I am a firm believer that for my sound at least, the low end content is where I can really win a lot of ground. So you can hear that this thing is playing. Let's shorten the notes here. Envelope. Nice. Kick out. Play something here. Nice. I didn't make it too difficult for myself, so I stayed with the white notes on the chords. I'm still hitting other ones. Let's add a little bit of reverb. Nice one. And do you see how when I play this synth, it drowns out the audio thingy's Micro Monster? But when I'm starting to add a little bit more release on the sound, and turn it up a little bit. Now those two are going to play together a little bit more, I think. So you now can hear this sound and that sound, but the bass frequencies are still very audible. Bam, bam. Now this is a way of doing things, obviously. I mean, there's multiple roads that lead to Rome, I would say. But you have to understand that in my way of working things is I don't really want to utilize everything that I have right off the bat, you know? So it's cool that I've got this sound that I think, oh yeah, this is cool. Now I can think of, do I want to build somewhere else? Do I want to go somewhere else? Do I want to build anything else? Okay, I've got a bass synthesizer here, I've got a bass synthesizer here. This is not playing the highest notes. There's a lot of bass content on the Mini-Low XD, even though it's a little bit like in the higher region of the low-end frequency spectrum, it's still not going overboard. So if I was to play something with the Model D, can I play something higher maybe? Okay. Looking for the notes first. Here he goes. Here we go. add the audio thingies. Nice. Go a little bit of ambient in. If you're wondering where the reverb and the delay is coming from, it's coming from the Octatrack. I've stuck the Model D in the Octatrack as a through machine that's going to the mixer. Nice. Now the one thing that I don't think you're paying attention to is that TB03 in the background here. With the sounds that you're hearing, and focus on that low-end content, and in the club it will make sense. You will definitely feel everything just like growing, and that's what you want. Here's that bass line again. Lower this. See how that Model D plays in the background? A little bit delay on the TB03. Play around with the delay that I have. The Micro Monster is also going through that RE20 pedal that I've got sitting off camera. Ah, nice one. Around with those sounds. Lower the oscillator. There you go. Nice one. Jay Slammer, MK Stans, Sean Robertson and Daniel Stern are my new Patreons. They're following me on patreon.com/analogkitchen, where I am doing a few things. First of all, I am working on a mixer. Faceplate done, engraved and everything, so that's looking absolutely amazing. That is finished. Now it's ordering parts and finding parts that are not obsolete, because in this COVID-driven world, a lot of parts seem to be going, so you need to be really working on that. So working with the designers is absolutely amazing. I believe, and I keep saying it weekly, there is a gap within the realm where we sit as DAWLESS producers, whether we perform and how we perform and what is on a mixer that is not just a collection of the different stems that you are using, but it's more catered towards performing, as well as sound quality, as well as utilizing stuff so you can use your hands and for different tasks, so that you're not constantly wielding different things at the same time. So it's a smart way of looking at where does what sit and how can you utilize it. It's really, really cool. I'm looking forward for that project, as well as Discord that I have got connected to Patreon as well. So a lot of people get together, we talk about stuff everybody's like talking about. We're talking about that mixer as well. Usually there is a video after party where we just sit and talk together, and yeah, it's a really, really cool sort of vibe. It's a nice, cool community. And more people are joining us every week. So that's patreon.com/analogkitchen. Come and check it out. Now, hopefully, I think you thought that it was helpful for you. If not, let me know if there's anything you do differently or something that I might have missed. Don't be a stranger, get in touch. As well as channel memberships. That's a new thing as well. You can just now enlist on the channel, because the highest tier is something that I'm trying to introduce, where you get to just film yourself, ask me a question, and I will just montage that into the video, and then we'll just get in touch with stuff that you're actually thinking about. You know, it's always cool to have more answers than questions, and that might be a cool way to get in touch as well. It's just like little perks. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you can get, like stickers and merch and that kind of stuff. You know, the yada yada yada. So that's the thing. Okay, the music you can find on Bandcamp. That's a cool place where you can actually buy music. And you won't be breaking the bank, as well as Patreon, as well as the subscription for the YouTube channel. You won't be breaking the bank. It'll be cool. And go and find those samples. I've really outdone myself trying to just get like samples that work. Everybody's just like throwing samples out there, and I know a lot of people are trying to jump on the sample pack game, but for me it's like, what is something that I don't see within my live set? Is there something I can add to just gel those different synthesizers together? They're cool, mind you. I love my synths, I love my bass, I love my sequencers, I love the percussion that I have, but at the same time I want to be a little bit, you know, tapping the outside world a little bit with the different samples. So there's effects and drones, that's one pack. Then there's percussive helpers, that's the biggest pack, which is like sharply priced at the moment, but will go up in price in the future, because as there were 3,000 sounds within that pack. Believe me, it was a lot of work. And then there's the ear candy pack. Yeah, no, the Catalyst ear candy pack is coming. There's the sample and hold Catalyst pack. That was what I was looking for. Go and check it out. Anyway, my time is done. My time is up. I will see you next week on another video. Stay safe, stay cool, stay DAWLESS, and hit that like